Hello everybody, welcome back as I am joined here by Jed, the manager for Cloud9 Eclipse. Whew, tell me about that game one, being on the sidelines and not being able to talk to your teams. It was incredibly close. How do you think they did?
I think they did pretty good actually. Our early game was decent. We had trouble in the past in our scrims. We didn't do very well. So I'm pretty proud of them. It was a bit of a roller coaster actually. But yeah, we managed to get the first game, so.
Yeah, it was incredibly close. Tell me a little bit about strategy going into this one. A Renekton ban, not so common. Is Zoro what you identify as the main threat on NIP?
Well, he's definitely one of the best players, and we didn't want him to play Renekton, basically. We had our analyst, Charlie, working a lot on that. And yeah, Renekton ban was the best thing we could do to stop him.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the history with these guys. They come from apples to sour. How much talent do you think is in this lineup? Obviously a lot as you chose them. How has it been working with them?
It's been working out pretty good. Like, when we started the team, we wanted to have the best mechanical players. And yeah, we got these 5 guys now, and they're doing pretty good, actually. I'm pretty proud of them.
So a big thing, obviously, is that they've been playing online a lot. Now they come offline. You as a manager, have you stepped in to maybe coach them when it comes to the offline portion?
Not really. Violet is doing a lot with his experience. And yeah, they're doing pretty good, even though it's their first time.
What's the last advice you can give them going into this next game?
Don't fuck up early game. Or I'm not allowed to say that, maybe.
That's okay. Don't mess up early game. Thank you very much. And now back to Joe and Quickshot for game 2.
Thank you very much, Shox. And well, don't mess up. The early game is exactly what he said there. Don't let your ears play tricks on you. But what a game. I'm not sure how we can possibly follow that one, to be honest.
No, you really can't. I would like to see both teams picking up initiation, personally. It wouldn't drag out to 65 minutes, but yes, I think that's the only constructive criticism I can give to both of these teams.
Well, with one more win in this one, Cloud9 will be able to walk away with the first Challenger title and earn the #1 seed in the second Spring Series.
Yeah, and as we've already touched on, it was an incredible back-and-forth game. 21 towers went down. Each team had more than 100k gold, as you already said. Ninjas in Pajamas, they had a slow start. It turned around in the mid-game once Nukeduck had that Lich Bane and actually had way more burst than even I was anticipating. He picked up a quadra-kill on Lulu. I'm still not convinced it's a super strong pick. Yes, it had damage, but didn't really win team fights. I'm not entirely convinced.
Would something else after 67 minutes maybe have had a little bit more for them in that one? But we have to say that Cloud9 didn't go quietly into a game 1 loss, though. And, you know, they really staged that comeback thanks to some really amazing traps that were set up across places. And Nukeduck walked into it once. The second time it happened, they kind of checked with a lantern and got rid of a pink ward, but, you know, kind of just walked in anyway.
Truthfully, the reason that those bush ganks actually worked is because of the vision that Cloud9 had given themselves. They had 3 or 4 sweeping lenses. They completely controlled what Ninjas in Pajamas were seeing, and it worked in their favor. And somebody you have to highlight is Hyanin. He had some massive plays. He was part of the reason that prevented Ninjas in Pajamas coming back up. He got that double kill after resurrecting with his Guardian Angel. And somebody else that we also need to talk on is the jungler of Ko. I think he stole a dragon, which was good. He secured Baron under pressure from Shaka's steal. And even though his Kha'Zix didn't necessarily get a lot of resets and a lot of kills in the team fights, he was enough of a threat to be focused, which afforded the rest of his team time to get the kills.
So as we move on towards Champion Select here, are we going to see anything different when it comes to bans?
I think you have to ban Trundle. I think this time around, Ninjas in Pajamas are going to be on the red side. So they have the potential to leave 1 or 2 big picks open and see what does Cloud9 favor. They can grab a Thresh, they can grab a Trundle, but then it leaves the other picks for Ninjas in Pajamas to grab up. On the same token, now that NIP's on the red side, the pressure might be on them to ban out Kassadin.
To ban out the Kassadin in that one. And I'm almost surprised that Kayle got through. We were actually talking about what is maybe going to happen at the start of this one. And in terms of the bans, we were almost expecting a Kayle ban because of the fact that both of these mid laners love their assassins.
I want to call out Nukeduck for what I'm going to theorize is we predicted the Kayle. We know they like the assassins. We know that Kayle can do very well against assassins.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I wonder if Nukeduck's decision-making was, I'm not going to play an assassin because it's going to be difficult against the Kayle. I'll pick the Lulu. It can do well. I can kill, before the intervention or after the intervention once you're slowed from Glitter Lance. He did the same thing against KMT. He picked Riven into Kayle, said, I can beat it. Maybe Nukeduck doesn't actually know the counter to Kayle because it didn't work out then, it hasn't worked out here.
Well, there's so many questions to be answered after that one. A 67-minute game where both teams got over 100,000 gold. I don't think it could have started any more brilliant, but as you mentioned, there was a big lack of initiation there to the point where they were literally having to set up traps an hour into the game to try and catch the other team off.
When your only initiation is a flash Tibbers from Annie, you're lacking that side of your team comp. You're lacking that tool to make use of. We're just quickly recreating the lobby, guys, so we should have Game 2 in this Best of 3 series underway in a short while. And I wonder if maybe picking up a jungle that's a little clearer with initiation, like a Vi, for example, or maybe even going for a Leona as a support, as opposed to that Thresh and that Annie, might be an easier way to make things happen. Because as we've seen in these fights, like they went back and forth, you had to throw all in, everybody died all the time, and that's why we had this extremely extended game, because there was never a clear, I commit, I win, I push down.
Yeah, I think you're right with the Trundle ban there as well, just to kind of touch back onto that one. I mean, we saw exactly how tanky Dr. Mundo got in there, but that really plays just straight into the likes of Trundle's hands. And honestly, both top laners in that game were pretty fantastic. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that one. We also saw Riven just not even touched anywhere amongst that one because, you know, when we look through the last games that they did play, Riven was banned out every single time against Febiven in the mid lane.
And it's quite interesting to see whether or not they want to actually run for that matchup. You know, Ninjas in Pajamas have a lot of tools available to them, and if they want to maybe go for an assassin this time around, it might work in their favor.
So, Thresh banned out. Renekton banned out, LeBlanc taken away there as well for Cloud9, or by Cloud9. And Ninjas in Pajamas now with 2 more to go. Kassadin's still not gone, but there is the Kayle ban.
So Cloud9 have not adjusted their pick ban strategy just yet. It's the same 2 bans as the previous game. Removing Lulu this time around means that Cloud9 really didn't like dealing with Nukeduck's Lulu. I'm a bit confused because now all of the assassins are still available, and as you see, you know, Cloud9 have put some priorities on that Elise.
Well, the final ban was Kassadin being taken out there. What a surprise. Left the Elise open. Will be locked straight in there for Cloud9. On the other side, Ninjas in Pajamas weren't messing around and wasting any time in there either, and in fact have picked up Zed and Mundo.
So Mundo again. Trundle is still available. That's an insta-lock Riven now from Febiven. So what Cloud9 have already got is the potential to run the same matchup. The Trundle did very well in lane. He held even, actually beat Zora Zero's Mundo with the help of some ganks from Ko. So Oduwamne has this option available to him. Over on the other side, I'm very happy seeing the Zed in Nukeduck's hands. Because Nukeduck is on a champion, he can make plays, he can get things done with. His laning phase, however, is going to be very difficult against Riven. The low level, you know, levels 1 to 3, Riven is going to have more tools available to her to duel Zed, and if Riven can get ahead early, it's going to be near impossible for Zed to actually kill Riven with that deathlock.
We also see there the Vi coming down for Shaka. Now we know that he loves a bit of Vi, loves a bit of Elise. Pretty much everyone who plays jungle likes to play Elise and Vi, but that is one of Shaka's strong points. We'll also see Lucian this time around for Freeze.
So swapping out as opposed to the Jinx, going to be a little less damage but a little more utility, and I quite like this. Being able to dash away from some of the CC that Cloud9 will be putting down is a smart move. The one thing that we're not seeing from Cloud9 once again is a clear initiation strategy. So in this time around, we've got the Vi on the side of NIP, and they're going to be able to pick fights as and where they want to.
Well, the final picks were just locked in over for both teams, in fact, and it was Cloud9 who added the Trundle in there. So there'd be Trundle, Elise, Riven, Jinx, and Annie. Other side, the final pick actually coming down was Leona, so that will be added into the rest of the team.
If I'm going to be honest, the Cloud9 composition is not much different from their previous game. They are very reliant on landing one little bit of CC, you know, getting the stun from Annie, maybe a cocoon this time around from Elise, which will go a long way to helping Cloud9 engage, but they basically just want to run at you the whole time. But instead of having magic damage from Kayle, you're going to have physical damage from Riven. I see the same strengths and weaknesses in Cloud9's composition. Ninjas in Pajamas, however, they've taken a big dose of Shoutcaster advice, and they went for the champions that we talked about. They've got now clear engage, they're going to struggle in lane, that Lucian Leona is going to have a difficult time against Annie Jinx until 6. And then you hit 6, you all in Annie, you all in Jinx, whoever you catch dies.
In theory.
In theory.
In theory,
In
yeah.
theory.
In practice, it often works out a little bit differently to that one. But don't forget, if you're just joining us, well, you just missed the cracker, I'm afraid. 67 minutes in, game number 1 going over to Cloud9. And if they win this one, they're the champions.
Yeah, they managed to grab themselves that first place title as well as those 9 challenger points, working towards the playoffs at the end of the second Challenger Series. And of course, whoever wins those playoffs, top 3, then gets to fight for a spot in the LCS. So this is funneling the next teams who are going to be challenging the bottom 3 teams in the LCS.
And great to see how equally matched they are at this top level. I mean, both of them have only lost 1 map in the 2 best-of-3s that they played before this one, and that one single match actually came in for Ninjas in Pyjamas in their first one, so they've had 4 on the bounce. Cloud9 lost game 2 against Pulse, but both of them just showing that they really are at the top right now and that they're level. We're going into game number 2, though. Let's see how this one all works out.
So the laning phase, I think, is going to be very, very, very important for Cloud9. Because of the fact that they have stronger lanes in every single one of them. Trundle should be able to bully Mondo, Riven should be able to bully Zed, and Jinx and Annie should be able to bully Freeze and Mithy, in conjunction with the fact that Shaq is going to need a lot of time to hit level 6. Vi needs to get that Assault and Battery before she has terrifying ganks. Means that Cloud9 must make use of these first 10 to 15 minutes in the laning phase.
So, will we see anything here at level 1? We didn't see much in that last game. In fact, it was quite a slow starter. We saw a lot of farming up there. And, well, the mid-game, I suppose, so to speak, although I guess we could call it the late game for what it really was that lasted about 30 minutes at least from that one. But we're going to be seeing Nukeduck back on Zed. We know exactly what he's capable of with that one. We talked about Riven, that it wasn't banned, wasn't picked in game number 1, but it suits Fairviven. It's his main champion, and he's going to have the chance to show it against this Zed from Nukeduck.
And I think it's a good matchup for Fairviven. You know, he traded pretty evenly with the Nukeduck's Lulu in the previous game. Cloud9 decided to ban that Lulu for this particular match. And we're seeing slightly more standard mid laners, if I can even use that term. But like I said, there's a lot of pressure on Fairviven to get ahead of Nukeduck early. If he falls behind and if Nukeduck can, you know, get some good harass, get good poke down, maybe Nukeduck can grab control of the lane, which I think he's going to try to look for.
So we're talking about, you know, he said Annie, Jinx going to have the better of the early game here against Ninjas in Pyjamas, but we're actually seeing Cloud9 instigating a lane swap up here and sending their duo to the top side.
I wonder if this isn't a little bit of a psych out. I wonder if Cloud9 maybe anticipated a lane swap from Ninjas in Pyjamas, and that's why they were putting their duo top. We'll have to see if they try to avert that. Alternatively, if Cloud9 want to try and get an early tower, and then start rotating their duos to the mid and you know, play the map game, that could also work in their favor. You're never going to get as much tower pressure from a melee champion like Leona in comparison to the range of Annie.
We'll see how that one all works out from there. This mid lane, Fairviven versus Nukeduck. Obviously playing 2 very different champions this time around. It was a Lulu versus Kayle matchup last time as Fairviven hits level 2, and you saw him already moving forward aggressively on towards Nukeduck, and he's going to continue to put down that pressure onto him.
Yeah, the stun just missing Nukeduck though, so couldn't get any additional auto attacks down onto Nuke, so Nuke gets away scot-free from a level 2 little poke, but Fairviven's waiting for 3. Generally, when you see Rivens having all 3 abilities, Q, W, and E available, then they can start poking and getting in there. We actually see Zoro using his teleport very early on, and also look that Odoamne also has teleport. He wants to maybe play that roaming game or play the map just a little bit more.
Are we going to see a 3-man dive coming in? Actually, Ko is all... No, they saw him there. They saw the back end of his Spiderlings, I think, just headed off around the corner as that ward came in. So Zoro already backed away. He knows that his jungle is compromised there, and as such, they're bringing Shaka up to try and help them defensively on that one. You can see that Cloud9, they're going to be happy with how that is. That's a good cocoon coming out max range from Ko. Gives them even more time to hammer away on the tower.
Now, we do see the Ninjas in Pyjamas look like they're performing a lane swap. They're going to try and defend this tower. They do not want Cloud9 to get ahead early with those kills. Oh, they've got Shaka!
They've gone in there. Shaka goes down. First blood That was a very strange scenario. They need to be careful here, though. Ko is very low. There is the stun coming in. Zenith Blade misses from Mithy. Ko does get slowed, though. Will jump up there. Goes back to the minions, which actually I think means a kill for Zoro. Zero here, but Zoro himself going super low. One more will do it. Hyonin, no, can't finish it off. Exhausted takes the tower hits, and now Freezer's coming in. Zenith Blade lands onto him. Can they follow through? Good damage out of Freezer. Hyonin still running back from this one. He does have barrier, and he does have flash, so he should be able to survive. He uses them both, gets back to the tower, and he will live just about.
So first of all, Mithy manages to save the life of Zoro Zero by exhausting the last auto attack from Hyonin. Now Nukeduck's getting port.
Half HP. It's getting port. It just makes that lane more fun. Half HP taken away there by Febiven. Crazy start to this game. It's almost we started where we left off in that last game, which is definitely fine by me. I'd rather see a bit more of an action-packed laning phase to what we saw last time. So in the end, actually, we get both duos in the top lane now. The top laners going down towards the bottom to face off, but look at that CS discrepancy there. Because of those switches, Odo Amne's had a massive lead.
You have stolen the words out of my mouth, Mr. Miller, and the one thing that has also helped Zoro Zero is that he got the kill. He managed to pick up that kill in the top lane, so he's going to be at least even on gold. He also has double buffs. Now Freeze has been stunned by Voidal, and we see Ko coming in.
Oh, the Spider's on his way up to this one. Can they actually get in? There is the repel. Where's the cocoon? It goes straight down the middle of them. Freeze actually going to take a lot of damage. Stun comes in. Barrier used. Are they going to dive? No, they're not.
Now that's very smart. Mithy had actually charged the shield of Daybreak, so if anyone from Cloud9 had stepped further forward, Mithy was going to smack them in the face, stun them under the tower, and that would have made their lives difficult. We talked about how important the opening 10 to 15 minutes were going to be for Cloud9. They have stronger lanes, they have very good champions at these early stages, and you see they're trying to make it work. Ko has made a couple of ganks in this top lane, has got summoner spells and a kill under his belt, so it's working, but very importantly, Ninjas in Pajamas have held onto this tower.
Poking a lot there, though, on towards Freeze. Ko now headed down towards that mid lane. We'll see. We know
comes Ko from behind.
Yeah, we know how good Nukeduck is, though. And is he going to be able to get away? There's a cocoon. You can't be so slippery with that up. He's going to put the death mark down. Ko goes into the repel, and that means that Nukeduck here may die. He goes back to the shadows, and he's completely fooled him.
That was brilliant! Nukeduck throws down the Deathmark as Ko starts the repel, so he takes a little trip with him, and then because the Deathmark shadow is sitting in the middle of the lane, as they chase him towards the river, Nukeduck gets out. That's why I like seeing him on an assassin, on a playmaking champion, because you're not going to have the ability to do that with Lulu. Now, Shaka at level 4, not a lot of gank potential because there's not as much CC from him unless you combo with Leona. Trying to make something happen, decides to back away.
Such an interesting start to this one, and again, Hyonin sticking it up there in that top lane. Going to hang around for that, and Double Doran's Blade actually coming out at the start for Freeze, so we'll see how that one actually comes in. We've got the Relic Shield actually picked up by Voidal here at the start, added into his Doran Shield.
So it's the second time we've seen the Relic Shield, if I recall correctly. He did it in the previous game as well. And it's something that Vanda has actually spoken out from, saying that if he's in a lane where there's not much poke potential and he's not going to get harassed down, he doesn't need the stats of the Doran Shield. So he opts to go for the Relic instead. And it could be a very similar decision here from Voidal.
Back into mid lane, Febiven actually has the damage down, and Nukeduck going to be knocked again towards that half HP range. Febiven looking confident here and comfortable. 63 CS, yeah, okay, there it is. 63 CS to the 56 currently of Nukeduck Z.
And it's going to be very difficult for Nukeduck to actually get a kill on Febiven without some assistance from Shaka. However, once Shaka grabs level 6 and gets that Assault and Battery, if you combine Assault and Battery, the CC in conjunction with the shadows from Zed and his Deathmark, it should be a fairly simple kill on that Riven. We'll just need to see where Shaka decides to gank. He has his ultimate available, and he set his sights on the fairly low-level Hyonin and Voidal. That's 5 and 4. There's no Solar Flare from Mithy just yet, so we'll see. Charging Vault Breaker doesn't go.
No, doesn't go in for that one. Actually, Voidal had moved forward, doesn't have his stun charged up, so that's something he's going to want to avoid, moving out into a position where they can jump in without any single stun. But honestly, that's just a lot of time that that Shaka is spending now on this top brush without really any results. Just Cloud9 are quite happy to sit back, take all the pressure and farm under their tower.
I think Ninjas in Pajamas do have a team that scales fairly well, but they need to be careful of the Trundle and Riven as the game goes on. Once again, Coach, seeing that Freeze and Myth Euro extended, started moving to the top lane. Freeze and Myth realizing that they were in a bad position, they back away well in time. They get out cleanly, and Freeze has actually got a small CS lead over Hyonin, partially because of the Relic Shield and Voidal, and also partially because the ganks have sort of worked out in favor of NIP in terms of getting lane pressure for their AD carry specifically.
Shaka doing the blue buff here. Is he going to take this one, or will that actually be left over for Nukeduck? Co moving in there? Actually, they do land the Cocoon. Are they going to dive him? I didn't think so. A little bit dangerous. We've seen how slippery Nukeduck is there, and Shaka actually will get the blue buff for himself. Look at that, straight on top of a ward, position pinged out.
Yeah, and we do see Ko backing away. You never really want to dive those Zed because he's got the death mark, and as you said, the shadows to hop around. It's going to be very difficult to lock him down. Now, the rest of NIP, they're about 800 gold behind in total. Zoro Zero continues to fall further behind in CS. It's approaching 25 right now. It's actually 26. And Zoro is going to need a lot more time. He's going to need time to scale up. The problem is, Trundle's still going to outscale him. There is no Ignite in this bottom lane. This is going to be quite a difficult dive.
Well, they are going to dive him anyway. Subjugate goes down, and well, Zoro Zero, quite a difficult dive, I was going to say. Wasn't really that difficult of a dive in the end of things. It is going to be Odo Amne that picks that up. Are they going to go Dragon?
Zoro Zero didn't even pop sadism. I think he realized that he got caught by the pillar and he wasn't going to get away, so he saves it. Now they've turned their attention to Shaka. He's got blue. He's going down.
Oh, he's going very, very low from this one. Can he escape? He flashes over the top. There is the repel from Ko coming in. Can they get the finisher? He's going to dive in. Sinks his fangs in. Ko picks up the kill. Here comes the TP though. Zoro Zero coming around the back. He gets cocooned up. Can they kill him off? He does pop sadism this time. And now Nukeduck's coming in as well. Nukeduck gets one. Here comes Febiven. I think that's the end of this fight.
Yeah, we do see the kill goes to Nukeduck. He manages to get the blue buff back for his team. And in all of this situation, Zoro Zero just got melted by that sadism, by the subjugate rather. The fact that he saved his ultimate allowed him to make this play. The rest of Cloud9 are trying to get in range now. This is a 4 versus 3. They're going to try and make a play for Dragon. Teleport is not available. Zoro, he's in the region, and I think this is going to be difficult if Shaka tries to steal. He does have Smite available. It hasn't been so good so far.
This could be so dangerous. Stun comes down. They force Nukeduck to back off with half HP. There they go in for it, but the Dragon is taken by Cloud9. Will they get away from this one though? Shaka is now coming in. Zenith Blade goes right to the back onto Odo Amne. Can they finish off Voidal though? He's the one that's been focused down. He will be finished off. Zoro Zero gets a kill. It's a kill for a Dragon and a turret.
Yeah, we do see the turret going down. Freeze was being chased by Ko though, and he's taking a lot of damage.
Let's see if he can escape from this one. Ko going to sink those fans in here in just a second. Barrier actually used. Can the Cocoon land? There's a lot of minions around there. Ko chasing him, and Freeze doing a fantastic job. But there's the execute.
Yeah, Ko with those sorceress using the early amp tone was able to get the kill. Ninjas in Pajamas were dancing around Dragon. They did manage to get the top tower, the bottom tower, and a kill for their side. So I think overall, it was a trade they'll be happy with. However, they did also lose Freeze. So now we see Ko, he's got 3, 2, and 1. He's already getting very scary on that Elise. And if he can continue to make ganks and secure kills, it's going to be very difficult for NIP to focus him down, considering how difficult it is to lock an Elise in the fight. I also thought Shaka was going to go for it. He wasn't even in the fight because he had died previously as well. So unfortunately, he wasn't present. Probably why NIP were dancing around the Dragon for so long.
There we see the first turret of the game for Cloud9 Eclipse. That puts them now 1,300 gold in the lead. Couple of items actually coming out. Blade of the Ruin King for both Odo Amne's Trundle and also for Nukeduck Zed right now. On the other side, Riven for Febiven. He's got that Vamp Scepter in there, got himself the BF Sword, as does Yarnan, as well as Freeze.
And we'll see what they decide to do with them. Now that Cloud9 have got one tower down, the tower that they actually swap their dual lane into first, I almost expect Cloud9 to maybe group up and try force more towers. We see Impaler coming in from behind. Assault and Barriers available. Febiven's in trouble.
This is bad news actually for Febiven. He's going to flash away, but there is the Assault and Battery coming down. They've got the damage. Shaka will actually pick up that kill. There's a teleport from Odo Amne. I'm not sure that he's really going to get anything from this one, but with Elise coming in, Shaka goes down. Such great damage. Can they catch Elise? Oh, the pillar comes in. He dodged away from the Cocoon, but look at that damage. There is the ultimate. Here comes Mundo from the side. Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't connect. Voidal came around with his stun ready. He does have Tibbers available, but in the end, it's a 1-for-1 trade.
That was a little bit close by Mithy. He was underestimating just how much damage was coming out of Ko and Oda One. With that Blade of the Ruin King and the early magic penetration of Ko, they shredded through Mithy. He did get a good solar flare and managed to survive, but he needs to be a little more careful. If you take another step back, the gank between Shaka and Utak was actually very intelligent. Shaka saved his assault and battery until after Febiven had flashed, so he could chase him down and ensure that Febiven didn't get away. So very smart, coordinated thinking there between that duo lane, and it's something they can rinse and repeat. It's something that every time those ultimates are up, it's basically a guaranteed kill because of how much damage they put out and how much CC gets put down.
Uh-oh, Riven. And Elise going towards the top there. Zorzi was like, nah, you're not going to do that. Throws a briefcase in which hit one of those violins, and he will be okay there. Nukeduck, as I mentioned before, that Blade of the Ruin King in for him. Let's talk about, you know, as things progress here, who's going to have the stronger mid game? I mean, Elise for me is very scary now. 4-2-1, haunting guys, sorcerer shoes. We've seen how much damage he's doing already.
I actually favor Ninjas in Pajamas because of the fact that they have Assault and Battery and that they have the Solar Flare. I put a lot of importance on these coordinated team fights where when you say you pick a fight around Dragon, Ninjas and Pajamas are going to be able to zone control, get somebody locked up. They can focus Ko, chase him with Assault and Battery, lock him up with Solar Flare. On the other side, you're reliant on a Flash Tibbers or a Cocoon to connect, and it's just not going to have the same level of effect or guaranteed victory that Ninjas in Pajamas composition has.
No, but if you land them 99% of the time, which obviously is hard to do, then it could change things. Ko actually getting caught out here. We're going to see Nukeduck coming in. Should be able to secure this kill. It will be Shaka, actually, that picks it up in the end.
Yeah, I wonder if a little bit of just panic. Didn't want to allow Ko to get away. He did burn the flash as well. Deathmark was not used by Nukeduck. They didn't need it. They had enough damage put down. He was able to shred his armor. Now they are going to set their sights on Febiven. This is the initiation I was talking about. Febiven's in trouble.
Febiven is in trouble. There's 3 men walking his way. Make that 4 because Freeze is off to the side. Solar Flare comes down. Freeze gets the kill. Another great pick for NIP.
That is why we praise and highlight initiation so effectively. If there were a little bit more minions there, Ninjas in Pajamas could have grabbed the tower. They're just going to wait for one more wave. They pick up a kill on Febiven on his main champion, Riven, and a flash stun from Mithy lands the Q, locks up Febiven, and then just chain the CC together. Ninjas in Pajamas grab their 3rd tower of the game, going to back and shop and potentially set up for the next Dragon.
They are 600 gold ahead in this game at this point, as you mentioned about Dragon. That comes up in less than a minute's time, so that could be the next big thing in this game. We see a couple more items coming in. Giant's Belt, the workings of the Sunfire Cape really for Zoro Zero, along with that Spectre's Cowl as well. On the side of the map, Bloodthirst is in for both the AD carry and the mid lane. I
want to also look at how many wards Ninjas in Pajamas have down. If you look across the river and in and around the red buff of Cloud9, Ninjas in Pajamas have got a lot of information to work with. They know the movings, they know the positioning of Cloud9, and it's allowing them to basically go for that dive. It's what enabled them to go for that dive behind the turret. Now, Dragon starting in 15 seconds, it's also going to give them information to work with when they try to re-engage. Freeze is a little bit disjointed from the team. And we do see teleports out for both top lanes, but everybody's so tightly knit and so tightly grouped, it's not even going to be necessary.
Are they going to set up a trap? No, they're not. They're just going to go for it. They are going in there for that Dragon. It's down to half HP already. They are too late for this one. Shaka coming to the front, but Dragon's been taken. Shaka getting himself stunned up from that one. Super Mega Death Rocket won't come in, but Shaka drops anyway. 1 kill for 1 right now. There is Zed being focused on, but it will go down. That is bad news here for NIP. Mithy's going to fall. Zoro Zero, you're tanky, but not tanky enough, Sunshine. And now they chase after Freeze. Febiven in pursuit of this one. This could be an ace. Good flash from Freeze.
Yeah, he manages to get away from any of the CC that could come down from Cloud9. 4 members of Ninjas in Pajamas go down. They arrived late for the fight. They tried to jump on Cloud9, but they weren't grouped up. Freeze was coming in from the side. The rest of Cloud9 was coming from the top of the river. There was a decent solar flare, but not the strongest. Now Cloud9 grabbed themselves 2 towers as the bottom and middle turrets fall, and Cloud9 regain control. 4,000 gold in the lead.
Shaka didn't really have an impact in there. They blew him up straight away, and to be honest, Nukeduck, I think only survived as long as he did because of the invulnerability time there of that death mark that he had going on. Just not a good fight for Ninjas in Pyjamas. We'll see how that gold has once again swung the other way. Almost 29.6 thousand as we see here Freezer's last second flash again.
Yeah, it does manage to get away. Just catching a little bit of a mix-up on the replay PC there, but yeah, you know, the fight, I think it was poorly decided from Ninjas in Pyjamas. They came in late, they were not grouped up efficiently enough, and I'm never a fan of that split when you've got a priority like Freeze, for example, not in range. Now, Zoro0's got caught up by the Pillar of Ice.
Yeah, but will they get the kill on him? There is the jump off Coke. Not even going to go for the Cocoon there. Zoro0 actually could have come back. He might have thought about that one. But Cloud9, you see the shift here. They're going to go through the enemy jungle. Voidal, importantly, now has his Sight Stone, something that he was lacking before that Dragon. And the kill's coming in. Zoro0 he had been focused on. Goes very low. Mithy actually dives into the middle of them. Odoamne is tanking things up, but here comes Riven, and Mithy is dead.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he sacrificed his life to save Zoro0. The Super Mega Death Rocket comes up, flies wide, and we talked about how strong Cloud9 were going to be in this early to mid-game stage. All of their champions have hit this peak, and they're onto the inhibitor turret. Mithy's not there, nor is the Solar Flare, and we'll see what impact Zoro0 can have as he's going to join the fight late.
Not messing around here, Cloud9 just bullying their way straight in. They got the tank down healthy, you could see. Although the Super Mega Death Rocket didn't take Zoro0 down, it took him so low that he had to wait longer on the base before he came back out. They couldn't fight for that one. They're going to lose red buff here, along with that inhibitor turret. Will Cloud9 try for anything more?
Now, what Cloud9 are doing very well with this composition, while they lack 5v5 initiation power, while they lack that strong team fight, they have great skirmish ability. All of their champions in the 1v1s, 2v2s do very, very well. So that whole play in the top lane stemmed from the fact that Odoamne and Co were able to catch Zoro0. They forced him low, forced him back, and because Ninjas in Pyjamas lost a member and they were reacting slowly, Cloud9 could grab a turret without being contested. There was no threat of a Solar Flare, there was no threat of an Assault and Battery because they got rid of the main tank. So as long as Cloud9 can keep getting those skirmishes near to objectives, they can grab the objective as soon as they win the skirmish.
We're touching on a 5,000 gold lead at this point of things. And Ko here going to be able to take his blue buff over and over again. That's something we didn't really talk about there, but always good when you've got two champions in your mid lane that can live without it.
Yeah, it's very helpful. You know, manaless on both Nukeduck and Febiven's champions. Nukeduck this time around does have this blue. I think for Zed, it's maybe a little more impactful because it does give you that energy regen. Febiven, the cooldown reduction is obviously going to be very important to him. As it stands, 2, 2, and 3 on that Riven. He's at very good positioning once these fights have broken out, but I think this particular match, it's all about Ko. It's all about how strong his Elise has been. And in all fairness, Shaka's ganks have been strong, but it hasn't offered the same level of impact that Ko's Elise does.
Odoamne as well. I mean, he's made itemization quite simple for him, really. If you look at the team that they've got there, no magic damage, I'm just going to stack a load of armor.
It's a smart thing to do. I mean, when you've got your Haunting guys already completed on Elise, because your base damages are so high in percentage base, you just look for penetration. You get through all the MR that your opponents have built up, and that's part of the reason Ko was blowing people up during the laning phase. Now that he's got that Warden's Mail and is working towards a Randian's Omen, it's also going to mitigate the team fight power that NIP has, because once they get in, you know, Zed, Mundo, and Fi, they're melee, they want to run around. I mean, so is Leona. You mitigate their movement speed with that active, and it makes team fights so much more difficult for NIP.
And it doesn't matter how much armor. I mean, it's great for them now that we see armor coming out from Mundo as well, because he'll steal 40% of that away when he puts down his ultimate in there as well. Great position that Cloud9 are currently in, but I have to wonder, because that last game we did have a stale portion of it where neither team could really find an opening to get through things, and we see there Odoamne does not really care about Mithy and the rest of the team there.
NIP were so afraid of that one, they caught Odoamne completely alone. Ninjas in Pyjamas didn't have enough vision elsewhere on the map to know that, however, which is why they didn't commit. If you look at the vision, it's very defensive wards for NIP now, as opposed to fairly aggressive wards from Cloud9. So they stun Odoamne up, nobody else goes in, says, no, that's a Randian's Blade of the Ruin King Trundle, do not want. Now Shaka charging that Vault Breaker. So again, that's a very clear initiation. You see the Shadow just being used for scouting, and NIP are going to try this Dragon fight again. They're 5k gold down. If they go for a straight up 5v5 and don't land everything perfectly, I actually feel like Cloud9 are far enough ahead that they can win a team fight fairly easily.
Voidal and Yarnan actually sat at the back of this one. They've given the position away there. Co's
good start.
Taken a bit of a blast as well, so he's down to half HP. Let's see if NIP now say, you know what, guys, we can fight for this one. Voidal takes a lot of damage. Dragon has been taken. Do Cloud9 want to fight for it, though? Looks like they do. Voidal there at the front. Does have Flash, does have Tibbers. There's a Cocoon onto Zoro0, but they're happy with the Dragon.
Yeah, NIP need to be very, very careful. As we said, if they don't get a 3 or a 4-man solar flare, or they don't get Hyanan dead immediately, the amount of damage from all of the sources of Cloud9 is just too far ahead right now with that 5,000 gold. You compare, you know, Febiven, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, and Brutalizer. He's caught Mithy, we'll see what he can do. Gets Exhaust.
Gets the exhaust from him. That, to be honest, that's a great little fight for him there. Exhaust down, stops it being used elsewhere. Odo Amne does get blasted down by Freeze, who right now has the Bloodthirster Zeal in there. If you compare that to his opposite number, Bloodthirster Zeal, but a Last Whisper on top of it as well.
Traditionally, when you pick a Jinx into these types of comps where you've got a Zed and a Vi on the opposing team, if Ninjas in Pajamas hadn't struggled these last 10 minutes, they could just dive Hyanan, throw down that Assault and Battery, throw down the Death Mark, get rid of him. But what Cloud9 have done quite well in the rest of their composition is they've got damage in the mid, damage in the jungle, damage in the top lane. So even if you get rid of Hyanan, you have to go so deep to get to him that you leave the rest of your back line at risk of being killed. So these fights could come down to whoever can kill your opponent's AD carry first, and then just do cleanup duty for the rest of the team.
And they push that top. Let's not forget that the inhibitor turret was already taken away from that lane, which means that inhibitor sits open and quite a juicy target, I think, here for Cloud9, and that's really what got the ball rolling for them in the last one. I mean, the ball rolled very, very slowly, don't get me wrong, but that's what started it all off, getting in there for that inhibitor quite early on as well.
Yeah, and once again, now that we're in this mid-game, now that Ninjas in Pajamas have got more damage and they've scaled a little bit more, you're starting to see how hesitant Cloud9 are to really go for these bigger 5v5s. They didn't really go for the fight in the Dragon Pit. The Cocoon didn't land, so Cloud9 didn't fight. Ninjas in Pajamas, this is a smaller group. This might be a better situation for them to open. Shaka may consider going in. Look for the Solar Flare or the Assault and Battery. That's the only way NFP can stop this. Cocoon is down, and again, Cloud9 going to be very, very careful about this position.
Hyanan in particular, he stepped forward there to go towards the inhibitor, and you see that Shaka immediately, Shaka goes straight towards him. Maybe get things started off. Ku's also down by half health, so I don't think feeling so confident right now of Cloud9 that they're going to go for that one. One thing they do have on their side is that they can have complete vision control. They're going to force NIP to work as a unit and try and regain some of that vision in their own jungle.
Yeah, and Cloud9 are also going to suffer from a similar problem that NIP have. Because you've got like melee champions when Elisa's in Spider form with Trundle and Riven, if they dive onto a priority target like Nuke Duck or like Freeze, Mythic can get a very easy solar flare and can really lock them up for a prolonged period of time. So Cloud9 playing it safe, trying to feel it out. Can we get the inhib? Can we poke it low enough? And when they realized it was too risky being clumped up on those stairs, they back out and back out safely. Cloud9 are going to continue looking for a skirmish game. I think they should try to do the split push with Zed, split push with Riven, split push with Trundle, and see if they can win a skirmish, see if they can win a 1v1 or a 2v2, and then go for an objective. That would be the decision that I think Cloud9 should be trying to do.
Well, they've got Trundle and Riven, but they're in the same lane, pushing on mid right now, trying to gain positional advantage here. And to be honest, I think that they've got this one almost for free. Freeze is going to throw out the Cullen. And in there, finally, Ninjas in Pajamas react to this one. We saw Nuke Duck recalling. Turret, though, down to really almost half health just from a couple of auto attacks there out of Hyanan.
Yeah, he's got a lot of damage and he's got fairly good range as well. Ko is hanging out in the wings. A Flash Tibbers or a Cocoon could be the way to go, and Zoro is going to get caught out. The rest of the team hasn't committed just yet. In order to do a tower dive, they need to get a Cocoon or Tibbers on a super squishy target. Zoro's not somebody that Cloud9...
Oh, there it is! There's Tibbers! The Cocoon lands as well! Perfect coming out there for Cloud9. Mitty tries to escape. He'll be finished off by Febiven though. That's 2 for nothing. Tower's going to go down. They may be able to get 2 inhibs if they do it right here.
Yeah, Cloud9 have got enough damage and enough HP to make this work. Febiven was trying to zone them out. Shaka didn't even get to use his Assault and Battery because the fight was over before it began. When you have initiation power like Vi and Leona, if you don't initiate, you can't defend. And right now, Cloud9 played that perfectly, landing the Cocoon, managing to follow it up.
2 inhibitors, as I thought, go down for Cloud9. That leaves them 12-17 kills up. It leaves them almost 10,000 gold in the lead. They are in firm control of this game.
Yes, and they've got the tools that they need to actually close out this game a little bit sooner. Because of the fact that Riven and Elise are so strong in this situation, being 10,000 gold up and having a strong item advantage, if they can get NIP to sit still in the same location, they can just rinse and repeat. Right now, NIP are going very deep. They're trying to pull at Cloud9. They're trying to make Cloud9 come to them. They've got 4 sweeping lenses, and I think Cloud9 are aware of it.
Yeah, judging by the pings, I'd say so. All on top of the NIP heads. Okay, they have Odo Amne almost go in there, throws his pillar down, sees the NIP are there. One thing that I did find a little bit strange that they didn't put a few more wards deeper into the river here so that they could see NIP crossing over. They've got one in Baron Pit, so they know if that were to be started off. But look at this, Jinx and Trundle headed down towards the bottom lane. The wave is pushing itself right now.
That is a massive minion wave. Ninjas in Pajamas need to back away because they're going to lose another tower. Cloud9, if they get to this one, Blade of the Rune King on Odoamne is going to be so strong. Nukeduck has set his sights onto Ko and he might go down.
Yeah, I think he will. He was kind of repelled there for the raid, but unfortunately they weren't actually there for him for the taking. But look at this, top turret goes down, and there's your teleport gone, Zoro0.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Burns a cooldown, ends up cancelling it just to try and save it. Dragon is up, however. They are going to try and surround NIP. Voidal's going in. He doesn't use Tibbers just yet.
Wow, that just single target stun there on towards Nukeduck, but he didn't die there, Nukeduck. Actually, he did. The Ignite finished him off. That's 2 kills. Shaka's going to flash, but Febivin will chase him down for another one. Zoro0, honestly, they don't need to care about him. They can push.
This is the game now for Cloud9. They've got their AD carry still alive and at full health. Febivin is on low HP, but look at the super minions. They're in the top of the base. That's a flash from Freeze. NIP have surrendered.
NIP surrender and Cloud9 take it 2-0. Game 1 was a much tougher test for them, a longer test as well, a bit of a marathon game. This one, though, they made it look fairly easy. Once they got into the swing of things, it was all about them.
Unbelievable game. I think, considering the strength of the initiation for Ninjas in Pajamas, they needed to have survived for longer in the early game. They fell too far behind too early on, and it allowed Cloud9 to bully them. And as soon as Cloud9 got those skirmishes with their composition to win, they got objectives down. So very well played. They landed the cocoons they needed to. It was a little bit riskier relying on the flash timbers, but when Void was hitting them, why not? It worked.
Tell you what, Ko, 16 years old, amazing player there with Elise. He really got that one rolling for them. Top laner Odoamne, 308 on the Trundle. We wondered if we'd maybe see a ban or at least a switch in pick tactics maybe for Ninjas in Pajamas. As it was, they went for exactly the same matchup, and again, it didn't work out for them.
What I find very interesting is we heard from the manager of Cloud9 saying that we wanted to ban Renekton, we wanted to take that away from Zoro0. We feel it's an impact champion.
Yeah.
He then followed it up by saying, in the games, same thing, Renekton, and Zoro0 picked Mundo again. Trundle was available. And many other top laners were there as well if you wanted to go for Shyvana. Yes, you can tank a lot with Mundo, but you're not making impact, you're not doing things. And I almost wonder if Zoro had been a slightly different champion, what the outcome could have been.
Well, definitely a difficult defeat to swallow, I think, for Ninjas in Pajamas. We've got to remember here that it's all about points at this stage of things. And honestly, finishing second place, you know, you never want to finish second. Let's be honest, who wants to finish in second? But actually, it's not that big of a deal that they end up losing out in this game.
It's not. They do manage to qualify for the next Challenger Series. And just to explain the format for everybody, you get Challenger points. The top 6 teams who have the most Challenger points go into a Challenger playoff after the second season of the Challenger Series. And then the top 3 from those playoffs battle the bottom 3 from the LCS. And winners of those make it into the Summer Split.
Well, I'll tell you what, you don't want to finish bottom 3 in the LCS when you've got 2 teams like that that are kind of scratching on the door, wanting to be let in. Cloud9 look fantastic at this point. Ninjas in Pajamas, let's not forget, they had a stand in here. They had Shaka in here. We don't know exactly how much practice they've been able to do. It's definitely not practice like they've had with Amin in the past.
No, definitely not. And I think I would like to highlight the fact that Ninjas in Pajamas, once again, have failed to deliver on the stage. When it counts, when they need to play, they didn't show up. And there were moments that were good. But truthfully, Cloud9 were ahead. Cloud9 were in control of Game 1 for most of it. They completely controlled Game 2. And you really have to be quite frank. NIP need to find find their mojo under the stage lights.
And on this very stage as well. It's not been so lucky for them up until now, that's for sure.
Same seats, actually.
Same seats, even. Not good. But guys, now that the Challenger Series finals are in our match history, let's take a look at that point distribution that we were talking about earlier on. So remember, the 6 teams with the most Challenger points after the 2 Spring Series advance into the Challenger Series playoffs. And with their 2-game sweep of NIP, Cloud9 Eclipse earns 9 Challenger Series points, which means it's all but certain that they'll be playing in those playoffs.
Yeah, and even though they lost, the Ninjas in Pajamas don't walk away empty-handed tonight. Not only do they grab themselves 7 Challenger points, but both Ninjas in Pajamas and Cloud9 have locked in a spot in the quarterfinals of the second half of the Challenger Spring Series. That's kicking off in just a couple of weeks on February 27th.
And now it's time to name our first ever Challenger Series most valuable player. For helping his team to the Spring Series title, the MVP goes to Cloud9 Eclipse's AD carry, Hjarnan.
Yeah, he led the Challenger Series in kills with 48 rather. He shut down Freeze, who had been dominating up until this series. Up until this series, Freeze was the better AD carry in terms of stats. And Hjarnan just really shone. His Lucian in game 1 when he came back from the GA and grabbed himself 2 kills. Can we do a hashtag EUCS big plays? It's not a thing, but it worked and it's definitely worthy.
We can do that.
We can try.
We can just
it's not
make
actually
it
a thing. I'm just saying for fun.
Give it a try. Who knows what's going to come back your way. But guys, we're going to send it over to Shox, who's standing by with the Challenger Series MVP and his lane mate, Voidal.
Thank you very much, Joe. Indeed, the MVP Hjarnan and his lane mate Voidal from Cloud9 Eclipse, winners of the first Challenger Series here. Amazing performance of you guys. Hjarnan, let's start with you. You are the MVP. Give me your point of view on you guys' first game. It was so close.
Yeah, it took so long. I don't know. We farmed for like 60 minutes and it was back and forth. Like we got 2 kills every time, and they got two kills on us, so we could like never finish. So it was like back and forth all the game, and we managed to finish finally. So
yeah. And then a lot of confidence going into game 2. Void, a lot of early aggression from you guys there in the top lane. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we were planning the dive and the lane swap. If I can combo my stun of Annie with Elise, like as you saw, Shaka got instantly deleted. If like Go accidentally took the turret angle and they got double buff, but if it hadn't happened, GG.
So you're mentioning Shaka there, and usually I play with Amin, obviously. When you heard that, was there anything you changed in the way you played, or was it different for you guys to play?
Actually, yeah, because we were researching Amin. I think he's like one of the core members of NIP at the moment, and when we found out like 3 days before the tournament that he's getting subbed, it was, of course, a surprise for us.
Yeah, Hjarnan, tell me a little bit about playing here on the stage, immediately grabbing that MVP spot.
yeah, I was pretty nervous at the beginning. Like I died for no reason at bot lane the first time, but then the nerves dropped and I can play better. So it went good.
So Voidal, obviously you're no stranger to what are the LCS stages after you've been on Gambit. How has it been playing and finding a new teammate here in Hjarnan?
Yeah, when I first met Hjarnan, I was like, I didn't know who he was, but when I started playing duo with him, he was playing perfect. I don't think I've ever had such a good AD carry in my team, so as it obviously was seen today, we played really good together.
All right, that's some big words there from Voidal coming out. So you guys, both of you, of course you guys won. This is amazing, but the Challenge Series 2 is where it's at because you guys, of course, want the chance to be in the promotion tournament. How do you feel the level of competition is now in the Challenger scene?
I think it's a lot stronger than it was in Season 3. Like in Season 3, it was only like KMT and the Copenhagen Wolves, I think, but now there are a lot of strong amateur teams that can even beat us, so we can't really relax and we have to practice every day against Celsius teams.
Hjarnan, anything you want to add?
No.
No?
It's okay.
It's okay. Well, congratulations once more on MVP and, of course, for winning here. And now we're going to go back over to Joe and quick shot to wrap things up.
Thank you very much, Shox. And anything you want to say, Trev?
No.
Okay, that's good then. While we've come to the end of our time together tonight, the good news is that we'll be back next Thursday with more European LCS action.
Yeah, and what an incredible day of LCS it promises to be, with battles between some of the league's top teams, including Gambit versus Roccat, then the Super Hot Crew take on the struggling Fnatic.
Week 6, I think, is what you're trying to say there. Of the European LCS kicks off at 7 p.m. Central European Time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific. And while that's 6 days, you know, you've got to wait a little bit of time from that one. You're in luck because On Saturday, the North Americans take to the Rift. Up first, Dexter patrols the jungle for CLG in his second North American LCS game when he takes on the Legend of Meteos and Cloud9.
And then immediately after, Team Solo mid battles against Dignitas. It's the North American Challenger Series third place match. It's going to be Cognitive versus Complexity Red, the team formerly known as Skyline until this week.
Yep, week 5 of the North American LCS goes live Saturday at 9 p.m. Central European Time, which is 12 noon Pacific. And guys, that does it for the first European Challenger Series finals. Once again, I'd like to say congratulations to Cloud9 Eclipse, and thanks to our friends over at Coca-Cola. Now for myself, Quickshot Shocks, and the entire live broadcasting team, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Gets locked in there. C9E tries to come in. Cap just urging straight towards it. Wow! Millennium acing finality. Woo! Woo! Fuck, man! That's fucking please, that's your place though, man.
Collusion. I'm getting ulted by. Look diamond.
I'm going behind him. I'm coming behind him.
Effort. Keep going. Nice. Watch out now. And Red is tanking.
Okay,
Kayla's coming.
Nice.
Good job.
Can you get out?
Kayla's behind you.
Tibbers tanks.
Kayla's here. Leave me to that.
I'm teleporting top.
Top to push. Just push it.
Come on. Oh. Come on.
Boom.
Nice. God. This is